You can anger the Spirit. As I pick up the Bible, I do discover the wrath of the Spirit. The translation from the Septuagint, as we read in Psalm how often they rebelled and grieved him in the desert, the translation is they disobeyed and made angry the Spirit of God. They rebelled and angered his Holy Spirit. Therefore he turned to be their enemy and himself fought against them. Wouldn't it be terrible to have the Holy Spirit as your enemy because you'd angered him? The word grieve means to make very angry. And I would urge every one of you to be very careful lest you rouse the wrath of the Spirit. My spirit shall not always strive with man, God said way back in Genesis 6 in the days of Noah. And the Spirit of God ceased striving, and the flood came, and the world was destroyed except for 8 people. The Holy Spirit can be lied against. In Acts 5, Ananias and Sapphira, thou hast not lied unto men, but unto God, said Peter. They acted a lie. They pretended to be what they were not. They were hypocrites. And they acted out a lie. Sodom, a wicked city. You could take all that you think of when you think of Wall Street or Las Vegas or Soho in London or the Reeperbahn in Hamburg or the red light district of Amsterdam and roll it all into one, and you'd have what Sodom was in that day. Ezekiel the prophet once said, behold, this was the iniquity of Sodom. Pride. Sodom was very proud. They excluded God. They were proud of themselves and the things they had done. And then they were filled with bread, it says. And abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters. In other words, they had all the things that they needed to give them leisure in their lives. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and the needy. They ignored the needy and the poor and the oppressed of the world. Many times we ignore those of other races. We ignore those people in Africa that are suffering from famine. Or maybe we don't ignore them, but we don't do much about it. Not as much as we could do. And God is going to hold us responsible. And they were haughty and committed abominations before me. In other words, they were proud, haughty, rich. They had it all. And they neglected the poor and the oppressed of the world. And God said judgment is going to come. And in Luke the 17th chapter, as we read, as it was in the days of Lot, they ate, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus, listen to this, even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. As it was in the days of Noah, as it was in the days of Sodom, so it's going to be similar to the days just before the coming again of Christ. Yes, I believe the Bible teaches in more than 300 places in the New Testament that Jesus Christ is coming back again. That's the hope that beats within the heart of every true believer. Christ was raised from the dead. He is alive. He is at the right hand of God the Father, and he's coming back. Now, don't ask me when, because I don't know. He told the disciples, don't try to guess the day nor the hour. Don't speculate. We don't know. But he left us certain signs. And it seems to me that these signs are coming together for the first time, perhaps in history, since he said it.
But I think it would be appropriate for me to begin with a brief, up-to-date personal testimony. In September of last year, I was living with one of my married daughters, my only Arab daughter, in the UK. And I went for a medical checkup and was referred to what they call in England a consultant, the top medical rank, and I was diagnosed with cancer of the bladder. This was a very thorough diagnosis with a cystoscopy, an internal inspection, and furthermore they told me it was a dangerous form of cancer because it was liable to spread to other parts of the body. Well, I was not afraid. I felt somehow that God was in control. And I was living with one of my married daughters, as I said, and she had a friend, the family had a friend who was a curate. Now, I don't think most Americans know what a curate is. A curate is about the lowest rung of the officialdom of the, what do you call it? Anglican Church, what do you call it here? The Episcopal Church, thank you. Jeff, whom you've just been listening to, is the son of an Episcopal minister, so I turned to him for accurate information. So I was with in my daughter's house, and we had a phone call from a young man, a curate in the Anglican Church, young enough to be my grandson. And he said, I would like to come and pray for you. May I come? So of course I said, yes, you're welcome. He was a little timid. He sat at the opposite end of the living room. And after a while I said to him, now I want you to understand, I'm not necessarily expecting that if you pray for me, I'll instantly be totally healed of cancer. But come and pray anyhow. So he came, I was sitting in a chair, he stood beside me, put his hand on my shoulder, and began to pray. And it was like, I can only say like cats fighting inside my chest. I have never experienced such intense conflict within me. And I let out a loud, prolonged, sustained roar. Not just a shout, it was a roar. And at that moment, I knew that I had been delivered from a demon of cancer. Now, about 6 months later, as far as I know, there is no evidence of cancer anywhere in my body. So I want to encourage you, it pays to get delivered from demons. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be fearful. Just accept what God has for you.